Good morning and welcome to the David and David on Real Estate podcast. Today we are on episode number 144 and we have David Binns returning to us. David, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation so far. We had you on the last two episodes. The last episode we talked about mental toughness, and we ended it off with integrity and keeping your word to yourself, how that beats consistency and how that beats hard work. And we even went to, define hard work. What is hard work? Because, when you're running a business and when you're in real estate, it's really about keeping the integrity to yourself, keeping your word, and doing all the little things that you promised you would do that will result in massive business to yourself. So, we're really looking forward to having you back and really digging in on integrity, what it means to your business. So thank you and welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
So we talked, at the end of the last episode about integrity starts with integrity with yourself, right? You've got to make commitments to yourself. You have to follow through. You suggest, if you're going to do something now at the end of the year, you make a 90-day plan. You got to stick to the plan day by day. You got to stick to the plan versus giving in to that other thing that keeps coming in the back of your head and knocking you, saying, no, like, maybe I don't want to do it today. Maybe I'll skip today, do it tomorrow, or I will start next week. And I want you to also touch on, because we talked a lot last episode about mental toughness and making a plan, but there's a physical component too, right? And it's the same thing. You want to lose weight, you can't say, well, I'm going to start 2 months from now. Like, what's wrong with today, right? And then if you do something today, you still got to do something tomorrow, whether it's diet or exercise, right? So these all go hand in hand. And it's, how do you defeat that thing in the back of your head that's telling you to put it off and procrastinate that we all fight with? How do you beat that?
So I've got a really, really, really good example that David is aware of that I will explain, that I'm literally living in this very moment. So I said on the first episode that my wife and I navigated an incredibly stressful situation for the better part of 2.5 years that led me to near adrenal failure. Okay. And when I say near adrenal failure, my cortisol levels were at 4. If you go to 2, you're in the hospital. 1, you're almost dead. 0, you're dead. That's how serious it was. The one thing that I wanted to do this year was run an ultra marathon. But I haven't been able to run this year. I've done a few runs, but nothing, 5, 10K. Because my personal project is restoring my physiology and my adrenals and my cortisol. And then 3.5 weeks ago, I was on a call with my functional medicine doctor. And he was sharing with me about his good friend, Maddie, who I talked to him on the Friday. On Saturday, Maddie was running the Grand Fondo in BC. The Grand Fondo is the most famous bike race in British Columbia where cyclists race from Vancouver all the way uphill to Whistler. Maddie ran it 125K. And I knew about this story before, but he brought it up. And I said, that is the one thing I wanted to do this year. And he could see the defeat in my face. And he goes, you're there. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, we've begun to restore you to a baseline level that you could do this. It's not the run that's going to get you. It's the training. And I literally stopped. I'm in. He's like, what? I said, I'm in. I got 7 weeks to train for my ultra. He's like, let's go. And I'm literally in that process. And in 3 weeks, I'm down 10 pounds. I'll lose another probably 7 to 8 pounds. Clearly, I don't need to, but it's for ultra running. And I'll be down probably 15 to 18 pounds in 7 weeks. And there's a lot of different things that are going on right now inside of this process. One of them is for me to interrupt the whole narrative of you need to train for a marathon for 38 weeks. Like, give me a break. Okay. Also around weight loss, but it's also applying everything that we've talked about in all 3 episodes. Make the decision, operate with integrity. And I am operating at an obscene level of integrity for me. Like, I've just elevated the standard. And I'm running 20, 30, 40K, following my diet plan, and it's just all coming together. And do I think that I'm going to be able to go do 70K? Yes. Is it going to be easy? No, it will not. The last 30, last 20 is going to be a big battle with the dark side. I'll tell you that right now. It's called the pain cave. I've never experienced it, but that's what happens in this stuff. And the reason I'm doing it, well, the primary reason is personal. David knows. But the real reason is to celebrate being alive. That's really why I'm doing this. It's the one thing I wanted to do, and it's to show me what I'm capable of. My brother-in-law was here on the weekend. He's like, God, like, that is just horrible. Why would you do that to yourself? I'm like, that's the point. It's actually for me. It's a celebration of life after everything that we went through.
It's interesting and inspiring, and I can't relate because I've never done a marathon or anything like that, but I've always considered myself a runner too in my adult life, because that's my primary mode of fitness. But I've had knee and back issues and stuff, so I would typically run 4 to 6K at a time, and I think if I do that, I can stop and live to run another day, and also I'll do it 4 times a week or something like that.
Yeah.
But once a year, right after my birthday, I run a route up in Muskoka that's a 13-kilometer route. So I'm usually running a 4 or 5 kilometer, but the first day after my birthday, I'm going to go run that 13-kilometer route just to show myself that I can still do it. And usually it's right away after my birthday. My birthday was last July. I haven't run it yet because I'm dealing with some issues, but I owe it to myself, and I'll get it done before my next birthday. I will run that. And last year I did it back to back because I had other things that I wasn't able to run. So I did it a day before my birthday, and then I did it again the day after my birthday. Just a
I love it.
personal accomplishment, right?
Yeah,
And it's on the back of my head every day because I'm already like a month late for doing this run, but I owe it to myself to do it. And then I won't run that long again the rest of the year, So on a smaller scale, I get what you're doing.
Yeah. It's been a really profound journey so far. And I know that, that I'm just getting started with this. Yeah, we're 3 weeks in, but you got to remember, I barely ran this year. I ran every single day last year. And I just went right from cold back into 15, 20-kilometer runs, put them up to 30. I got 40 on Saturday. Like, okay, feet are bleeding. Like, okay, fine. Like, honestly, like when you run this much, your feet take an absolute beating, as you know. But there's been a lot of primary lessons so far in teachings. And part of it fits into this procrastination topic that we're going to be discussing is really like, who are you going to, I don't know if you saw this the other day, David, but I posted about it. Who are you going to be when the excitement flatlines? And I had a little bit of a flatline week around the excitement of the possibility and why I'm doing this, but I still showed up and I did the work. There's been a lot that's come out of this, but I'm happy to share how this fits into the procrastination piece, because I've got a lot of thoughts and a lot of contribution around this topic. So you let me know where you want to go with this.
Well, share the first thing that comes to mind.
Like I did with hard work, what is procrastination? Procrastination is actually an invalidation of self. It's an invalidation of our future that we say we want. But the problem is, through the perpetuation of social media, it has become a badge of honor, just like ADHD, like a badge of honor. And I'm qualified to talk about on both of these topics because that ADHD, that's a whole other 2-hour episode. But it's become a badge of honor. You walk around most real estate brokerages and people are joking about procrastination. But what they don't actually realize is the consequence that that plays in the cost they're paying as a result of not keeping their word to themselves. Procrastination is not a real thing. You're not going to go find it in any ancient spiritual text. You're not going to find it in neuroscience. Because when you boil it all down, it's an integrity issue. But when you boil down integrity, when there's perpetual integrity issues, there is a relationship to self issue. And we might go a bit deep here, but that's fine by me if it's fine by you. If there's a perpetuating issue of integrity by not honoring one's word to oneself consistently and keeping one's word to oneself consistently, that is a symptom. And the symptom is by the ways of being, thinking, and acting that people call procrastination. The symptom points to the cause. This falls into the universal law of cause and effect. I'm just saying symptom and cause instead of cause and effect. The symptom is that people don't keep their word to themselves, or they don't honor their word to themselves, and they don't keep their promises to other people. What's that all about? That's the inquiry to sit in. Would somebody who authentically, truly loves themselves and is truly worthy of what they want to create in this life, would they act that way by not keeping their word to themselves? No, they wouldn't. Because the love and the worthiness will fuel the keeping and honoring of the word. The inverse is that someone who isn't intimately connected to their own self-love, their spiritual self, their worthiness, if they are not connected to that, their deservability. I have a framework that I teach called the deservability index, rating how deserving are you of the future that you want. If people are not connected to that, obviously they're not going to go keep their word to themselves. Why? Because the subconscious mind is more interested in validating the unworthiness, not being deserving, and not loving ourselves fully. The subconscious mind is more interested in validating that to be true than the conscious mind is in overriding the pattern. The fuel source of what people call procrastination, it's actually a self-love, worthiness, and deservability issue. Because you can't come out here and show me procrastination. It's not a thing. What you can show me is somebody's ways of being, who they're being, how they're thinking, and how they act. That's all the evidence we need. This here is a part of a much bigger conversation that is a big part of the work that I do because of my own experience through sabotage and what people call procrastination. This has been a big part of my own personal journey. So the work to be done is that the word that comes out of our mouths is worthy of being kept. And when we don't keep our word, we identify with our negative thoughts, feelings, and sensations about ourselves for ourselves. So to actually change that, we need to get connected to who we are at our core. Not the identity and this and what we learned from our parents. At our core, what are we? We are the fullest expression of love. Standing inside of that, that has the capacity to dramatically alter the way in which somebody deals with, keeps, and honors their word. This game that's not even a game. What I'm doing right now with Facing Ultra to run 70K in 7 weeks, this has very little to do with the running. Very little to do with the running. And it has everything to do with compounding the self-love within myself and dealing with whatever there is for me to deal with out on the road. That's what this is ultimately about, inside of the context of celebrating my life.
I think we should encourage everybody to find that place where you can be celebrating your life, because we all should be. And I think that's a great message for everybody. And that's where it starts. The integrity is to you before, and professionalism is for you. It's all for you before you can reach out and bounce it off other people. So it's very inspiring. And I guess you got to give us and our listeners a little bit of, I'm sure they're going to want to hear more about this and know how to contact you and where they can, get in touch with you. So maybe just give you a little chance for a little commercial message here.
Yeah, a little commercial message. My experience in the industry, particularly relating to human performance, is very vast, and it is something that I deeply cherish, particularly in the real estate space, because I understand it. I've lived it, been there, done that. And if you're looking for mentorship, you're looking for guidance around your quality of life, having it all in the real estate business, we're often in a business of this or that, or in order to thinking. My game is that we have it all. That's the only game I play. And the best place to reach me would be on Instagram. And my Instagram is my first name, David.Binns, BINNS. And that's the best place to reach me.
Awesome, David. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time, joining us, and sharing your story and inspiring us and our listeners, because it is very inspiring. And I think a lot of us need a better relationship with integrity. And we need to start keeping our word and keeping our word to ourselves, which is kind of where the whole journey starts. So thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for inspiring us.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. This has been a blast.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.